Hello, and welcome to our brand new show, The Frostburg Experience. I'm your host, Gianni Glover.
And I'm your host, Dr. Jonathan Gibraltar.
FSU has been receiving many upgrades to revamp the campus, including changes to the press box over at Bobcat Stadium, better dining services from Chartwells, and of course, the huge new Center for Communications and Information Technology, also known as the CCIT building. Given all the new renovations, it's only right that we have a brand new show to go along with them.
That's right, Gianni. Here on the Frostburg Experience, we'll be highlighting all the aspects that make our unique campus and community so great. And what better way to kick off the show than discussing those individuals that allow FSU to thrive. Our first segment is Meet a Bobcat, where we sit down with fellow Bobcats and take a look at their outstanding accomplishments. And with us in the studio today, we have Dr. Julie Hartman-Link, Professor of Sociology and Women's Studies, who won the Faculty Achievement Award for her exceptional record of service to FSU and the surrounding community. Thanks for coming in to talk with us today, Dr. Hartman-Link. Why don't we start with you just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. As you said, I'm a professor in sociology and women's studies here at Frostburg State University. I've been here since 2008. Before that, I was earning my PhD at Michigan State in sociology and have really enjoyed being here at Frostburg State.
I know that you've been involved in a number of different organizations around the campus and even in the community. Could you tell us a little bit more about the role that you've played?
Sure. It's hard to really talk about all the service because there's quite a bit over the years. But I've done a lot of work primarily on things that you might consider women's issues or issues for gender and sexual minorities. So a lot of things I've worked on have been related to sexual assault here on campus, as well as out in the community with Family Crisis Resource Center. I'm on the board of the Family Crisis Resource Center. I was chair of your President's Advisory Council Against Gender-Based Violence for 3 years, which works on issues of sexual violence, dating violence, as well as homophobia and stalking. I've been an advisor to several student organizations, including Students for Women's Issues and what was called BT Glass. They've now rechristened themselves as Spectrum, but that's our campus gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender organization here. And that's kind of the highlights. I mean, there's other things. I also am the coordinator of our Women's Studies program and do a lot of work with our students through that as well.
I wonder sometimes it seems that when somebody gets involved in certain focal areas in their lives, there has to be something kind of behind that. Is there a reason why you've kind of gone off into these particular areas?
Certainly. You know, it's not all altruistic motivation. I certainly identify with the groups of people that I'm most involved with helping. As an out faculty member, being involved with our gender and sexual minorities has been really important to me, especially for our students who are just coming to terms with their sexuality or their gender identity. It's been really important to me to be a role model and also help them as they're involved in various projects on campus. Issues of dating violence and sexual assault are also close to my heart as a victim myself and also as somebody who has seen far too many friends and even family members who have been victims of either sexual violence or domestic violence.
It's certainly very understandable why these would be areas that you're very passionate about. And you've obviously had a long passion for service. When did that develop?
I can't really think of a time in my life I wasn't involved in some kind of volunteer work. Even as a child, I would volunteer at the animal shelter or go with my grandmother. She would visit the nursing home and read to people and I'd go along with. So volunteering has always been something I've been passionate about. I would say in terms of getting more involved as an activist for change, trying to make things better, that really started in college and getting more involved. I was fortunate to have a really great women's studies program at Northern Illinois where I went to undergraduate and continued that in graduate school and was really grateful I could continue that link here at Frostburg as well.
That's terrific.
Indeed it is. Thank you for joining us once again. So what is it like balancing your duties as a professor while being a member of these different organizations?
It's difficult, I'll tell you that. A lot of times, you know, I think I give better advice to my students who overextend themselves than I give to myself, which is, you know, learn to say no, try to not overextend yourself so much. I am working on finding a better balance, because I think sometimes when you're passionate about something, you just tend to say yes to everything and everyone who wants you to work on something. So it's difficult sometimes. I think it's best to find a couple of projects you can really focus your attention on, and kind of not let the rest go, but allow other people to take a lead in other projects.
I would definitely agree with that. That's very nice. What advice would you have for someone who is involved in multiple organizations like yourself, of course, or for someone who would like to get more involved in FSU?
As far as being involved in multiple organizations, like I said, picking things that you're most passionate about, and you don't have to be the president of every student club. You don't have to be the chair of every committee. It's okay to let other people do things. And I think a lot of times people like myself, and I see this in a lot of other student leaders and other faculty who are involved on campus, we end up being sort of the chair of everything. We don't really pick our organizations quite as well as we maybe should. So I think finding a way to just allow other people and have confidence that other people will step up and take a leadership role is really helpful to be sane. I mean, we're all busy people. Faculty have classes to teach, students have courses to take. I know that a lot of homework sometimes gets slid to the back burner because students are too involved. So I think finding that balance of multiple organizations, but not necessarily being a leader in all of them. And as far as becoming more involved, I think just show up and ask how you can help. A lot of organizations are just looking for people that are interested. And so if you're interested, if you have a passion for something, get involved. If there's not an organization that deals with what you're interested in, start one. It's pretty easy. Student organizations, faculty and staff organizations, it's easy to start an organization that looks at the issues you're passionate about.
Well, that's great advice for someone that, of course, is maybe too involved, and for someone that's looking to get involved. I definitely say so. Would you happen to have any upcoming service projects you would like to share?
Sure. There's a couple of things that I have sort of going right now. I am, although I'm no longer the chair of the President's Advisory Council Against Gender-Based Violence, I've passed that torch to Dr. Golden Llewellyn over in the CAPS office. But I am still involved in the Safe Zone program that we do through that committee, which is training allies for our gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender students. Basically training primarily faculty and staff, but also student leaders to be advocates and be a voice for our student population and make sure FSU is a welcoming place for everybody, not just some students. So we do have some upcoming trainings and workshops that are part of that, and definitely look for more information next semester.
Talk a little bit about women's studies generally, because it seemed to me that women's studies programs at colleges and universities were evolving during the 60s and 70s, and I'm wondering, where are they today? What has changed?
I think a lot of things have changed. Some things have kind of stayed the same. Women's studies originally came about because even though women were going to college in increasing numbers in the 60s and 70s, there weren't classes. There weren't, courses. If you took a history class, it was the history of mostly just old white dead guys. It wasn't a whole lot of diversity there. So I think, women's studies kind of started to bring women in, and that continues to be the case. I mean, we still have the issue of if you take a history class, unless it's called Women in History, you're probably not going to see a whole lot of women. Unless it's, women in art, you're probably not going to see a whole lot of women. So in a lot of ways, it's kind of continued to be that focus. But we've also expanded to gender as well, and looking at how men also have this sort of box called masculinity to fit into that constrains men as well. So a lot of people think women's studies is just about women, but the flip side of that is also freeing men from those constraints that inequality puts on everyone.
Is equal pay still an issue for women today?
Oh, yes. I think a lot of our students, when I have students in class, they assume that when they graduate, they will be graduating into equality. But equal pay is still an issue. It's gotten better, but women on average earn 77 cents on the dollar. It's a little bit better for recent college grads. Our college grads can expect to earn about 96 cents on the dollar, so a little bit better, but the older you get, the bigger that pay gap gets, and so for women, it's still definitely an issue.
With some of the work that you've been doing, I can't help but wonder, because there's a necessity and actually a requirement that colleges and universities have gender-neutral bathrooms because of people's better acceptance of who they are as human beings. How do you feel about all this? Where do you think this is all going?
I think that's the right direction to go into. I think that we're going in the direction of accepting people, all people, regardless of, do they fit into a particular gender category. I know the gendered bathrooms comes up a lot. For whatever reason, people really freak out about the idea of peeing next to somebody else they don't know what gender they are. But I think eventually, we'll get to a point where people aren't, we all go to the same bathroom at home.
Right.
So I think we'll probably get to a point where gender-neutral restrooms are just normal.
Well, when I was in college, residence halls were segregated, so men and women didn't even live in the same building. Now they're using the same restroom, so I think we've come a long way. Thank you for joining us on the show, Dr. Hartman-Link. It was a pleasure having you, and congratulations on all you've accomplished.
Thank you.
So right now it's going to be time for a quick break. Thank you.
The pain will not control us. It will never break us, define us, or keep us still. Because arthritis can't beat us if we beat it first. In the fight against arthritis, you need a weapon. What's yours? Visit the Arthritis Foundation at fightarthritispain.org.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at energysavers.gov.
So, what's it gonna be? We could ride bikes, skating, movies, zoo, whatever you guys want to do.
Can we just do this?
Yeah. We could just do this.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
2 outs with a runner on first base. Now the big guy comes up to bat, hitting .342 with 92 RBIs and 36 homers. With the first pitch, he fouls it to the back.
Chill raw and prepared foods promptly. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back, everyone. For those who don't know, Frostburg State University hosts a number of different cultural experiences and expressions of artistic ability. Between the Cultural Event Series, or CES, the Theater and Dance Department, the Music Department, and the Fine Arts Department, this next segment up is called Frostburg Arts, where we showcase the wonderful culture and talent that we have on our campus. Here in the studio, we have music major Mark Williams and TV3 correspondent Tiara Brown. But first, check out this package and get to know about him a little bit better.
Here at Frostburg State University, students not only excel in their academics, but music as well. Senior musician Mark Williams is a very talented trombone player here at Frostburg State, and we walked around campus to find some students who could give us a little insight on who Mark is.
Mark is fantastic. Mark is one of the greatest students I teach. I come from Pittsburgh, which is 2.5 hours away, and I always think about students like Mark and students like Hunter Martin, who are the greatest of people, and that's what keeps me coming back every year.
Mark and I actually came into Frostburg together as freshmen, so I've known him for about 4 years now.
Okay. And you guys have the same major as well?
He is music performance. I'm music ed, but we're both in the same studio. We're two of the low brass students here in the department.
He is fantastic at always having a drive to get better. He takes criticism very well. He is in every way a very genuine person, extremely gifted, also plays the piano, has a great ear, tends to, at least in the jazz sense, be really ear-driven. And what we've been working on for years is how to get that musician that's in him to come out through his trombone.
It is obvious to tell after speaking with Mark's friends as well as his professors that not only is he an excellent musician, but person as well. We wish him nothing but the best in the years to come. This is Christine Parisi with the Frostburg Experience.
Hello, my name is Mark Williams, and this is Misty.
It was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out. Hello, I'm Tierra Brown, reporting from FSU-TV3. As Gianni mentioned earlier, we have the talented Mark here in studio with us, and we'd like to know a little bit more about the man behind the music. Have a seat.
Thank you.
So Mark, how many instruments do you play?
Well, let's see. Should probably start off with what I don't play. The kazoo. No, just play. Professionally, I'd have to say it's primarily trombone is what I am proficient at. I can go out and gig. You know, that is my bread and butter. My secondary instrument is piano, mostly just for accompanying. I accompany many vocalists and do jazz. I play in the jazz combo here. Our FSU Jazz program that just opened up. They allowed minors, and I've been taking jazz piano lessons on the side, along with trombone and apprenticing under all the wonderful jazz faculty that we have. But I can also play guitar, I can play bass guitar, I can play drums. The list goes on, but the only two, if you ask me, the only two that I can really play is trombone and piano.
Oh. Where did your love of music come from?
Well, when I was young, my dad always used to play all these old records of people when I was too young to really know who they were. So it was like, I always kind of had a dancing moment where I would just kind of dance around the house. And I'd honestly have to say it came from my love of just listening to music that my dad would play. And he would play groups like Earth, Wind, and Fire. He'd play Stylistics. He'd play all these old people. But you know, it was good music, and it got me hooked.
Yeah. And what are one of your favorite performances that you can remember? Either one that you've gone to or one that you performed in yourself?
Can I say both?
Sure.
Let's see. Recently, I want to say maybe 4 summers ago, I got to see Michael Franks, one of the hands down best musicians you'll ever meet. He's fantastic. His songs are fantastic. It's some of the best music. If you go see him live, it's a whole nother experience. You know, it's like the difference between watching the Super Bowl on TV and then actually being there. You know what I'm saying? It's just a wonderful experience. But I'd have to say my favorite performance that I've been in myself would be up here. I don't know if you've ever been up to Main Street.
Yeah.
The restaurant Dante's, our community band that some of the students are fortunate enough to play in, will go and will play with the other community members who also teach around in the area, and they're professional level players. So you know they're out playing and making a living. So it's good to sponge off of them. And we have shows at Dante's all last semester. They were every Thursday, and I mean it was just some of the best playing. I got to look up to some fantastic performers like Dr. Weber, who's our saxophone instructor. Bill Green, he's another saxophone instructor. My piano instructor, Mr. Harrison, Tom Harrison, he's fantastic. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's a different experience when you actually get to sit beside these guys and play, rather than, you know, them sitting at your lesson telling you that was wrong, do that over, that was getting better, but it's still not clean yet. Keep on practicing. So it's a lot more fun when you actually get to sit down with those people that you look up to and actually just play alongside with them.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for coming out and playing for us. I really enjoyed your performance.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And that was Mark Williams, everyone. Right now, we have another break. But when we return, our president, Dr. Gibraltar, will be answering important questions from FSU students. I'm Tia Brown, here with the Frostburg Experience.
I don't believe you can learn effectively if you're just reading from a book.
Experiential learning is taking that theory and taking it to the next level.
Doesn't matter what major you're in, you'll be out in the field immediately.
They go off to places like Dubai, Uganda, the Amazon.
We expect our students to be able to function in a global setting.
Because of the international experiences, our students gain a competitive edge.
One university, a world of experiences.
for sticking with us, everyone. We're back with our final segment of the show, Ask Dr. G. In this segment, Dr. Gibraltar takes questions from the student body and answers them personally on the show. The spotlight on this segment of Ask Dr. G is on Homecoming 2014. This year's Homecoming featured a host of activities for everyone to enjoy, such as art exhibits, the pep rally, banner and window competitions, and the Frostburg finale. And of course, what's a homecoming without the football game and dance? Check out this video recap of the memories made from Homecoming 2014.
Hello, I'm Ashley Van Bopa reporting for FSU-TV3 News. Today, we are here in the Lane Center at Frostburg State University to ask students about their experience at Homecoming and to see if they have any questions for our president, Dr. Gibraltar. So how was your overall experience at Homecoming?
It was pretty good. I had a very good time. I went to quite a few events over the course of the weekend, and my favorite was the dance at the end of the weekend. I didn't appreciate the fact that the officers came with canine dogs, which was kind of scary. But besides that, it was really fun.
Not only do the students have